Good afternoon, everyone. So I hope everyone is still having a good time and getting more insights from the previous speakers. And so now we're going to discuss the evolution of data security. And I would like to start off by, understanding that this is the industrial revolutions over time. As you are all aware, from the late 1700s, everything is in manual, right? Manual labor where everything needs to be done manually until nagkaroon ng innovation. No? So the late 1800s, for the telecommunication, nagkaroon ng telephone, telegraph, or faster communication, and transportation, and then na-introduce ang computer and internet where nagsimula ang start ng digitalization, and now we are in the era of AIs and IoTs, no? So that means this revolution or the industrial revolutions over time, it just states that nag-innovate at nag-evolve ang technologies, no? And with that, everything is within the data, right? So with the digital transformation and the modernization that we are encountering in today's era, everybody is using the data. Even the AI is now in the data. That's why you've been hearing this in the news where a lot of data breaches could happen. No? May mga data breaches na nangyayari here in the Philippines, not just in the Philippines, but overall. Right? Now, what the importance of this data is that we could use this to, strategize and understand ano ba yung mas makakapagpabuti in terms of understanding the business so that we can further strategize how we could improve the performance of our businesses, institutions, and organizations, right? So with that data incorporated in our day-to-day lives and to the organizations, we have this implementing the efficient and effective data security. It actually involves a set of controls and tools. All right? So that's why the security and risk management leaders have to consider on understanding the posture of data security in their institutions or in their organizations. How are we going to do that? No? So because everything is in the data, we are utilizing the data to further understand how can we improve the business. And at the same time, we have to understand the process, the technologies, and the policies that we may incorporate to the data. No? Kasi nga traditionally, we are being used, no? That everything is under control in one places, no? But with that, it's very easy for us to control the data because it's traditionally in residing in one place lang siya. But now, with the modernization, the adoption of digital transformation, everybody is accessing the data everywhere. No, we can work from anywhere. We can access the data, maybe could be accessing in the cloud. We are working the data at home or even using our personal devices, right? But what's the challenge of it, no? So when talking to some of our customers, they're having challenges or gap in terms of protecting the data and enforcement of controls because of a lack of a lack of visibility. Now, I believe there's, from the previous engagement and presentations, it was mentioned that a lot of attackers out there, no? So, because as the technology evolves, the bad actors is also evolving. Now we are drowning in the rising of data, the growth of data. We are drowning in the rising of complexity and a lot of regulations. No, so when it comes to protecting the data, it might put pressure on us, no, because of a possible risk. Could be the compliance risk, the data loss risk or the reputation or the financial risk, no? Business risk as well. Now, what I want to say is that if we are about to strengthen our data protection and to really protect what is the sensitive and confidential information that we have, we need to have a visibility. That means we need to understand, or the security and the management leaders need to approach the problem holistically in a way of understanding the value of data that you are protecting. All right? Because of we cannot protect if we do not understand what data that we have in place. All right? So we need to understand and we need to have an insight on what are the critical information or what are the sensitive information that we have in place, where the data is, are the data residing in on-premise, are the data residing in the cloud, who has access to this data, right? Are this data or this user should really have an access to this sensitive information or a contract, and we need to have a visibility and enforcement if this user is the right user that needs to have access to this data. All right? Now, without the visibility, we are not able to take controls as well. We are not able to enforce an action if we don't know the value of the data that we are protecting. Like where are the data resides, the storage of the data, how is the movement of the data, right? And how is the user interacting or using that data? Are they using it properly, necessary to their work or to their job, or are they using it for their personal use, something like that, right? So everything starts with visibility, no? We really need to have an understanding on what do we want to protect and saan natin siya kailangang protektahan, no? So sabi nga dyan, it all starts with visibility. We cannot see or we cannot secure what we cannot see. All right? It's very important that when you strengthen your data security posture, we need to understand the possible risk that may impose into our organization. No? We need to understand the risk because I'm sure that all of you are aware the possible risk or the possible consequences if there's like a breach that could happen in our organization. Now, to summarize this, there are actually steps for the data lifecycle. All right? So, the first thing is, like what I've mentioned earlier, you need to have a visibility. And you will be able to gain that visibility by discovering on what's really the sensitive information that you have in your organization. Now, you might want to ask yourself, am I aware or do I know what are the critical information that I have in my environment? All right? Are there any data that's been sitting there for like 5 years or 10 years and the user is still using it? All right? And then once you're able to have an insight on that data, you need to do prioritization. Because if you do not do the classification and the prioritization, the tendency is that you might get overwhelmed. All right? Because cybersecurity or in the InfoSec team, we really don't own the data. We're just there to help protect the data. We need the business, right? So data is actually the valuable assets of every organization. And to understand the data, we need the help from the business to really do the prioritization and classification on what are the things that we really need to protect. What are the data that is important to us? All right? So you have to do it in a way where you need to do the prioritization so that the security team will not get overwhelmed. right? Now, once we have that visibility in place, we understand the critical information, we understand the possible risk, that's where we able to enforce how are we going to control. Control in a way where we protect this sensitive data from sending outside, right? From sending outside your environment, or let's say we want to protect it from a possible users that has a personal intention with that data. All right? Now, you have to understand as well what are the possible exit points of that data. Could be in the cloud, or do you have like a users using their personal device, downloading that sensitive information? Are you allowing them, right? Or do they have access to your private applications and that applications contains a sensitive information? All right? And then once you're able to understand the risk, once you're able to identify how are you going to protect, the next step is we need to become proactive. Proactive in a way where we prevent the incident before it actually happened. And for us to do that, again, we need to have a visibility and we need to have an understanding on what's really happening. Okay? So it's the user and the data that we need to have an insight with. All right? It might sound like this is actually your 5 steps. All right? So this can be your guide on how are you going to really strengthen your data protection and to really understand the posture of your data security in your organization. So to summarize, it actually ends with control, but again, visibility is just the first phase. Visibility isn't enough, okay? We need control, and we need a great control or great visibility, all right? So with that, it can be a hard work, right? So data protection isn't just like a one-time or forget and install solution. It's actually a process. It's actually the combination of technology, the process, and the people so that we can achieve or become successful in terms of protecting our data. So what I want to say is we have to be informed, we have to be selective, we have to have an understanding on what's really important, no? So, kumbaga, nandyan yung tools. The tools is just there, but if we don't incorporate it on the right process and the right people, it will become useless. All right? So we have to be aware on what's really happening, and we need to deliver a complete, methodology, a process to govern and classify and protect our data, right? And I think that's the end of my session. We have a booth out there. If you need more information, you can simply approach us so that we can, help you and guide you. For those interested on strengthening their data security, we also offer a data risk assessment to further understand if, let's say, there's like a gap or possible loophole that needs to be improved within your environment in terms of protecting the data. We have that as well. Just visit our booth outside. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Cyril Villanueva. Sabi nga niya, data is everywhere. Data is our valuable asset. Data ang bagong oil. This is the new oil. If we can't secure, we can't secure what we can't see. We can't understand risk if we don't know what's at risk. So visibility is one of her major takeaways. There you go. You can take a look at the takeaways from her talk.